Hey there, I'm Lee Ullman here with some big news from the National Young Farmers Coalition. We're partnering with Heritage Radio Network on a special season of The Farm Report. It's all about what's happening with the Farm Bill and how it impacts farmers and eaters.
I am growing diversified vegetables on land that's been in our family for 150 years.
And so with the pandemic, gentrification, property values going up, we had to sell the land and we lost it.
Join us as we uncover the untold stories behind this massive piece of legislation that shapes how we grow our food, what we eat, and so much more.
The problems we have had, those are things that come from earlier Farm Bill and USDA policy, right? Like Earl Butts, get big or get out.
You know, it's my responsibility to know not only what I'm eating, but then like how that all came to be. And realize like, wow, like this piece of legislation, all this money, like it's technically something that I support as a taxpayer.
While Congress debates the next Farm Bill, this is not just an invitation to listen. It's a call to action. Be part of the conversation. Subscribe to the Farm Report on Heritage Radio Network, wherever you listen to podcasts.
You're listening to Heritage Radio Network. HRN is food and beverage radio supported by you. Learn more at heritageradionetwork.org.
This episode is brought to you by Cheese State University. Cheese State University was created for dedicated cheese professionals seeking to deepen their knowledge, sharpen their skills, and build connections. Join them in the Ivy League of cheese education at cheesestateuniversity.com.
So you don't shun the devil with your rock and roll load. Knows that country music's gonna save your soul. The devil runs his groove in them rhythm and blues that sound. It's gonna get you son in the end.
Welcome back to The Speakeasy. I'm Damon Boelte.
I'm Sother Teague.
And I'm Greg Benson.
The boys are back in town.
Yeah, right. Damon, you're back.
Yeah.
You're back.
I had to take a week off.
You look like you gained about an eighth of an ounce of weight. Are you wearing a ring or something?
It's a different kind of eighth ounce.
Hey, all right.
Yeah, man. I got my bling on.
Look at that.
Yeah, it was great. We got married on Saturday, Jamie and I, and yeah, it was great. We had a great turnout. Leading up to, like last week, it was just like, I was like, oh my God, I didn't invite this person. And I didn't invite this person. So it sucks because you're throwing this party and with wedding venues, you have a limited number depending on the venue. And ours was about 100. We were originally just going to have like kind of family with friends, but then we're like, fuck it. We're kind of in the clear. As far as like any kind of like COVID kind of stuff goes, but so it was a big small party, and It was great, man. One of my favorite restaurants out here, El Davide, they did the catering, and it was awesome. The cocktails too, and she had a bunch of good friends. Ramblin' Jack Elliott played. He's a legendary musician, like contemporary of Bob Dylan, actually kind of a mentor of Bob Dylan's. Oh, wow. And he was good friends with Woody Guthrie and all those. He's a badass, and he's still doing it. And we got him to play our wedding, which is crazy. And yeah, it was really legendary. So yeah, it was great. And then I, slept all day Sunday basically, because it's a lot, It's a lot of planning. It's a year or two worth of planning, and then it's over in the blink of an eye.
Right. It's like
you wish the debt was out of the way in the blink of an eye, but
there's that. It's like riding rides at the amusement park. Long line, quick ride, right?
Right.
Totally. But worth it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
To get to hang out with all your friends and get up in front of everybody and do the thing. You did the thing, buddy.
I did it. It's done.
You finally.
Now it begins, I guess.
There we go. Now it begins. Well, listen, man. Huge congratulations to you and Jamie. Wish I could have been there, but the world is pitted against me right now with time and my own schedule. Very, very happy that it went down. Well, let's get right into the show because I think we got a lot to talk about today. Our guest is joining us all the way from London. We've got I guess founder would be the right word for 50 best bars, right? Mark Sansom, welcome to the Speakeasy.
Hi guys, Greg, Sother, Damon, very nice for you to have me back on. Very quick correction, I wouldn't claim to be the founder of 50 Best. I am a mere employee. I've been working for the brand for about just over 4.5 years. Yeah, we started in 2009.
Oh, okay, a lot older than I thought it was. I was trying to dig around and find out how old 50 Best was. So that's good to know. It's been around since 2009.
Well, yeah, 50 Best Bars has been around since 2009. World's 50 Best Restaurants, which is our sister brand, 2002, so 21 years.
Right.
Wow.
Right. You're the spin from the restaurant, and soon to be there's going to be a hotel branch, right?
Indeed.
We'll jump into that a bit later. I kind of wanted to talk about like how does it even begin? You know, we can go all the way back to the 50 Best Restaurants, I guess, but how does such a thing become scalable? I can't imagine trying to rank the 50 best anything in my town, in my small part of my town, much less the 50 best whatever it is in the world, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's actually quite an interesting genesis story. Back in 2002, the then editor of a British publication called Restaurant Magazine, it started out as a feature idea for that magazine, and he just wanted to rank the 50 best restaurants in the world. So it started as a back page feature in that magazine. So he got in touch with a number of contemporaries all over the world. I think the original launch panel was sort of 40 or 50 people. He essentially just got in touch with them and asked for their 10 favorite restaurants anywhere, compiled the votes and published them. And the interest in that was just absolutely monster. Even from that first issue, Restaurant now is unfortunately shuttered, but its legacy of 50 Best has kind of lived on. And 21 years down the line with the world's 50 Best Restaurants, we've got 28 global academies which are voting all over the world, and just under 1,100 voters. And likewise with the world's 50 Best Bars, which launched 2009. We've also got 28 global academies and just under 700. So this year's vote will have 690 panelists from all over the world. That's the top line.
690 panelists, meaning sort of judges in this arena, right? And how are they vetted? How do you decide who gets to be that role, or do they come to you? Like, how does that? I guess there's a lot of mystery around what you do, especially for those of us who are often in the race, to even know how to get noticed, how to raise your hand, how to get nominated, how to get like just try and clear some of the fog for us right here in the studio, and also for the listener.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm here to de-shroud that mystery. And if anyone wants to sort of have a deep dive into the rules and how the voting's set up, that's all on our website. We try not to let there be any mystery to it. So that's at the world's 50bestbars.com. Essentially, so those 28 global panels that I mentioned, they each are headed by an academy chair. And that academy chair is the person who selects the voters for their region. And they will select those voters based on a criteria or a broad criteria of 50% bartenders and bar owners, 25% drinks writers and drinks educators, and the final 25% are what we call cocktail aficionados, essentially people who sit on the other side of the bar and enjoy a good drink. And of course,
alcoholics,
professional alcoholics,
keen drinkers, people who enjoy the consumption. So that's kind of how it's divvied up, and then we try and keep the actual voting itself as simple as possible. All we do is ask each of those voters to give us their 7 best bar experiences over the past 18 months, ranked from 1 to 7. So the first will get 7 points, the second will get 6 points, third, fifth, etc. Essentially, we just compute those votes. We've developed a secure voting system. We compute the votes, and then we hand them over to professional consultancy agency Deloitte. Deloitte do all the due diligence. They make sure that people have visited the bars. We do spot checks on those. And then they give them back to us, and then we just essentially report on the list.
I mean, when you break it down, it sounds pretty straightforward. But it's still massive. It's still massive. That sounds like a lot of bananas to be overseen by the monkeys. How do you wrangle those folks? And and then they remain anonymous, right? They don't stomp into the bar and say, "I'm here to right?
No, absolutely. Yeah. So the only visible voters are the Academy chairs, those 28 people, and they're selected thanks to their prominence in the industry and their contacts in their local areas. And they've also got no affiliations or allegiances to a bar, and neither are any of the bartender voters allowed to vote for a property in which they have a stake, a financial stake. So we've got lots of sort of red flag checks on our system, which looks into that, and Deloitte likewise helps us out with that. So yeah, those Academy chairs, they're generally journalists who are meant to be impartial. They and also very, very well connected in their respective bar scenes, and they essentially do the work for us, wrangling those bartender voters and trying to get them to vote in that 2-week window, which if you ever tried to get a bartender to do something in 2 weeks, you'd understand why we quite often have to extend that window of voting to make sure we get a good footprint.
I'm sure you planned for the extension, right?
Yeah, we do. Plenty of it.
I don't want to go down the negative road here, but I would like to address at least, surely you have to deal with some smoke and some blowback year after year from those who feel they were slighted or jilted or overlooked, or even those who feel like, personally, I literally had to kind of sit down with one of my team and talk him off the ledge when he thought like, wow, these other bars must be paying money to get in there. You don't accept any bribes. You don't accept any, I know there's, having been on the list a few times, I know that I didn't pay a penny to be on there. How do you deal with those who just simply believe that that's not true?
Yeah, I mean, like, you're quite right. After every time we produce a 50 best list, there are always people who question what we do and the methodology and the sort of the integrity of it. But we can come back and show everyone these Deloitte reports and where the votes have come from. But in terms of when people sort of slide down the list, drop off the list, unfortunately, there can only be 50 best bars in the world at any one time. Sometimes bars which have fewer seats and fewer sort of opportunities available for people to come through. And I think, Sother, your bar, I think that might be where you kind of maybe suffered in recent years, where you might have dropped off. But essentially, there's no sort of secret to get on the list, and we realise that from year to year, it is quite objective. We say that they're empirically the 50 best bars in the world, but look, what's my best bar is going to be different to your best bar, and that might change from day to day. And a lot of it will completely determine on how that person feels when they come into your bar that day, or how they feel when they come to cast their vote. So we just say it's a snapshot in time, and we just try and report on that sort of contemporary zeitgeist and give that list of that moment. But yeah, we do appreciate that that it's hard.
Yeah. And that kind of brings up something that I wanted to talk to you about in terms of, because I mean, a bar is so much more than just the flavor of the things you put in your face while you're there, right? Like there's so many things that go into it. And there's actually a new sort of, I'm not sure what to call it, a branch, a subcategory, a new tentacle of what you're doing that is has to do with bar design, which I think is awesome. I love just geeking out over, aesthetics and like just tasteful decor and like how a place is set up. I think that influences the experience that people have in so many ways that you just don't see unless you're looking for it. So
I'm sure that
where did that come from?
Functionality probably comes into play with that as well, right? I mean, like it's one thing to have, I'm sure we've all worked in bars where it's like you walk in and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then you get behind the back bar and you're like, what the fuck happened here? Like,
yeah, who designed this?
Why is the ice well all the way over there? And like,
yeah.
There's no
and
water.
Once you see it, you can't turn it off. Like,
Right.
I've been a guest in so many places where I've walked in and I'd be like, that is so beautiful and so impractical. And I bet everyone who works here fucking hates it.
Yeah, guys, you're absolutely spot on. So we only announced the Barrackston Best Bar Design Award yesterday. And the first thing we decided that we were going to do when we were going to branch into that field of design and architecture, we realized that we have essentially no expertise in that space. So I've kind of rounded up a panel of sort of 6 of the greatest minds in like hospitality design and architecture, and people who have built celebrated bars everywhere from San Francisco to London to Singapore and New Delhi. And essentially asked them to come together, and if they were going to create a design award, what would be the points where they would judge it? And sure, there's an element of taste and style, but that's only a very small part of it. Ergonomics and accessibility for both the bartender and the guest is absolutely key. The height of the speed rail, height of the fridges, How many times are they going to have to be bending down on a shift? All that's going to come into play with it. And we've asked for the submissions from the bars themselves to take into account all of those elements. And accessibility for all guests, how accessible each of the facilities are. Also, the ecological compatibility of those bars. What's the use of materials like? How efficiently is it using electricity, ice? What are those sort of protocols for disposing of ice at the end of the day? And then the final element of the judging process is the emotional quotient. Essentially, how does that leave the judge feel when they actually leave the bar? So we've got some really, really great people who have set up our the judging criteria. And from yesterday, bars all over the world have been entering and submitting their architectural plans, schematic drawings, video tours. So really excited to see how this one runs.
Nice,
amazing.
Yeah, I actually come from a design background, so to me, it's like it's huge for me, and we're probably our own worst critics, right? Being bar owners and bartenders. It's like we walk into a place and we're like, oh man, this is beautiful. But then, as Greg and Sother said, it's like, you're like, okay, what the hell is that thing doing there? It's beautiful, but it makes no sense for functionality and like production, and I don't know, there's so many different styles of design that you can use. And there's one bar in Greenpoint in Brooklyn that the walk-in is just right there. I don't know if it's still around. It's called Ramona. But when you're behind the bar, you just walk over and the walk-in's right there. And I was just like, that's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
I don't have to run through down the hall or into the basement through the kitchen to get to the walk-in to grab one lemon. I mean, you should never just be grabbing one lemon, but but you know what I mean? It's just like, I was like, man, if I had a raw space, next time I build a bar, I'm going to put the walk-in right there at the end of the bar.
Yeah. Oddly, that's an oddly common thing out in LA. I noticed several bars out in LA that have the walk-ins just off the edge of the bar. Oftentimes, though, you got to do with what you got. Like, I don't want to continually use my own experience, but Amore Margot was a closet when I took literally a closet. It was the dry storage from another business, and we crammed it in as best we could. Like, you just go with what you got. But I'm really excited to see this category out there because obviously we're very visual. I think we're all glued to our devices looking at Instagram and TikTok and stuff, and I love to see these beautiful bars. Like, they're very inspiring.
Yeah, I think Atlas Obscura has the was it Gastro Obscura or something like that, and it's just like, oh man, it's just like bar porn, and like 50 best, and it's like following these accounts. It's just like, it's almost like some of these bars just look fake, they straight up look fake. There's no way. It's totally AI.
I'd massively recommend that you guys and all of your listeners check out one of our judges, actually, Anirudh Singhal. He is the man for designing bars in India, and he's got the very enviable claim that he has designed every single bar that has ever made a 50 best list from India. And some of his designs are just out of this world, but they're also very ergonomic, very practical, and very popular with the people who work those bars. And he's also just branched into home bars, and he's crafting and distributing home bar setups all over the world. So without giving him too much of a plug, Metavex, his bar business and House of Bars are really special.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out.
Incredible.
Because I think that you just nailed it, right? You said that the public is happy to be at those bars, and so are the teams that work there. Because often, I think, at least in some of the places that I've visited here in the United States in the past few years, the design team is very attuned to making a beautiful space for the guests, but the afterthought is the well. The afterthought is the back bar. That's not their expertise, so it just becomes swept under the rug, and then it just, again, the team just has to deal with what they're left with. So happy to see that people are, finally focusing on it.
Maybe once we get back into the actual physical HRN studios, we can get back to our bar design.
Yeah.
Right. So there,
Yeah.
maybe we can hire this guy.
Yeah, let's get him in there. Man, I would love to be back in the studio.
Me too.
I'm wondering, I haven't been there in 3 years. I'm wondering, like, if all that, I hope all that booze has been plundered by now. Otherwise, it's just sitting there in effigy to us. Well, let's take a quick break and hear from our sponsors. We're going to come right back and keep talking to Mark Sansom about 50 best bars, and there's plenty to talk about that's coming up. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Every glass of wine tells a story. And these stories reveal hidden histories, flavors, passions, and sometimes they unravel our darkest desires. In Wine Enthusiast's newest podcast, Vinfamous, journalist Ashley Smith dissects the underbelly of the wine world. We hear from the people who know what it means when the product of love and care becomes the source of greed, arson, even murder. Each episode takes listeners into the mysterious and historic world of winemaking and the crimes that have since become, well, Vinfamous. This podcast pairs well with wine lovers, history nerds, and crime junkies. So grab a glass of your favorite and follow the podcast to join as we delve into the twists and turns behind the all-time most shocking wine crimes. Follow Vinfamous on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen, and be sure to follow the show so you never miss a scandal. New episodes drop every other Wednesday. Cheers.
This episode is brought to you by Cheese State University. Cheese State University was created for dedicated cheese professionals seeking to deepen their knowledge, sharpen their skills, and build connections.
It feels like a gift to be able to give this gift to people, because I know that from my own experiences, I know how valuable consolidated, incredible training resources are.
They offer an in-depth education on all things cheese, as well as an active network for peer support and career development.
You can pop over to the Quad, which is our social networking and engagement app. And so that's a really fun and dynamic aspect of Cheese State University.
Cheese State's 3-part course is designed for seasoned pros and entry-level mongers alike and covers all the skills one needs to perform on the cheese counter.
The structure of Cheese State University is all based on the Cheese State University Field Guide. And that is a 3-volume resource. It's all digital, online.
At the end of the course, students will be ready to ace the field guide assessment and earn their Cheese State Scholar Certificate.
Another resource is a video series where we tackle sort of like these thornier questions that you can get on the cheese counter, like what is rennet, and like why is this cheese so expensive, and can pregnant people even eat cheese?
At Cheese State, you're among experts, you're amongst scholars, you're among cheese lovers, and most importantly, you are a monger. Join them in the Ivy League of cheese education at cheesestateuniversity.com.
And we are back. You were listening to The Speakeasy here on Heritage Radio Network, where today we're talking with Mark Sansom from World's 50 Best Bars. And we're talking a little bit about the origin story and kind of what exactly makes a 50 Best Bar. But now I want to talk a little bit about some events that you have coming up in one case in the very near future, because you have something that's on the books for next week in Mexico. Isn't that right?
Yeah. So the second ever edition of North America's 50 Best Bars will be announced in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico, next Thursday, 4th of May. So yeah, we're all systems go on that at the moment, and we're really excited to, after the launch last year in New York, taking it south of the border and opening it up. And we're really pleased to report that we've got all 50 bars in attendance this year. Last year, lots of them came to New York, but the Mexican bars really struggled to get north of the border with relatively short notice to get visas, etc. So we couldn't get a great attendance from those guys. But yeah, really pleased to be in San Miguel next week, and it's going to be a real party across the course of the week.
Nice.
Yeah, these events are a blast. I've been to one in London. I've been to the one that was here in New York, and to get all these folks who are, we always talk about what our life is. Our life is throwing a party every night. To get all these people who throw a party every night to come together at a party for them, it's off the charts every time.
Yeah, last year was pretty special because it was basically the first event post-pandemic that people had been to, and it was kind of like the first days of Rome, the last days of Rome. It was kind of everyone approached the party with the right spirit.
Lots of spirit and lots of spirits flowing through everybody. I remember doing laybacks of very expensive cognac. Like it's not a normal evening.
Yeah, there was a bottle of Louis XIII flying around, but of course we're all practicing. We're all practicing very responsible drinking.
Absolutely, of course, yes. We were just in celebratory mode.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you got that going on. You just announced also a good friend of ours, good friend of the show, the Altos Bartender Award. Talk about the award itself, and then talk about the winner this year.
Absolutely, yeah. So the Altos Bartender Award, it's the only peer-voted award in our program. So we ask the head bartenders of all of the 50 bars on this year's list. So just a very quick bit of background on those awards. So the bars who are on the list, they know they've made the top 50, but they don't know where they have placed until the awards themselves. So those 50, the head bartenders there, give the name of one individual who they think has done more for the craft of bartending in the voting period of 18 months. And it was great to reveal Christine Wiseman last week as the winner. And my God, has she been popular?
Oh man, she is great. Really, fantastic person to be around, and couldn't be happier to have her up there taking this award. Really, really very cool. And she'll be down in Mexico next week with you to celebrate.
She will indeed. Yeah, she's promising to bring the party, and I'm a little bit scared, I must say.
It sounds like a threat more than a promise.
No, can't wait. She was in Europe, in Barcelona for the world's 50 best bars last year, and I must have seen her at 3 or 4 parties, and she really does bring the vibe with her wherever she goes. So we'll absolutely welcome her with open arms in Mexico next week.
Yeah, outstanding.
Nice.
You have some other subcategories that go on. One of them is the Michter's Art of Hospitality Award. Again, I'm going to ask you to talk about what that award is, because I remember seeing it get called, but I think my attentions were elsewhere. What exactly is the Art of Hospitality Award, and then if you can reveal who took that one this year?
Yeah, for sure. So that was a relatively new one. We only introduced that post-pandemic, the Michter's Art of Hospitality. And that was, we just kind of thought that the most important thing which bars needed to celebrate to really cosset the guests and welcome them back in after the pandemic period was that service and hospitality. So we launched that in partnership with Michter's. And this year, so the way that is voted for is so the 260 members of the voting panel in North America, split across from Canada, the States, Mexico, and the Caribbean, they're asked to name the one bar where they've had the single best hospitality experience in that 18 months. And this year, Botanist Bar in Vancouver came out on top. And I've not been fortunate enough to go myself, but my God, that one looks like a superb place as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's incredible. Good for them. I haven't been there either, but they're on my radar. That brings up a unique question. You yourself haven't visited them all. Do you intend to? Can you? Is that even a possibility? The list is churning and changing. Can you get them all before it's changed?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'd say no. I don't think I'll ever be able to get around them all. I actually did a count up the other day. So for the world's 50 best bars, I've been to 32 of them, which I'm pretty proud of, to be honest.
Yeah,
there's a few blind spots in Latin America, but we do have sort of 50 best. I want to be polite in the way I call them, 50 best followers who will literally go around the world after each list and tick off that they've been to all of the bars or all of the restaurants in that particular list, and we get lots of communication from people who are on the course doing that. And if you've got enough time and you've got enough money to get around all those, then good luck to you.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what I spend my disposable time and money on, anyways, going around the world to fun bars. So more power to them.
No, quite right. Nice to have a preordained route, right, rather than making it up as you go along.
Which can be it's fun. Good to have a good travel agent for these sorts of things.
I mean, maybe that's a market. Maybe that's a market we could look into, right? Setting up these tours.
The 50 best travel agency coming soon.
I'm gonna write that
down. Go to the bars and then stay at the world's 50 best hotels. So there you go.
Well, funny you mentioned that. It was
Well, that's coming too, right?
It is, yeah. So this year, well, this January, we announced that we were going to launch the world's 50 best hotels. That's been sort of 10 years in the planning. So we obviously already do restaurants and bars, and for us, hotels just kind of completes that hospitality circle. And once we have hotels in place, which we will announce in this September, that will give us the opportunity to be that sort of one-stop shop for hospitality all over the world. So if you do want to come to our website, you can find us certainly a reputable and a good trip with the places linked.
Yeah, that number you just quoted, that surprised me. 10 years, sort of. Could you run me through a little bit of like what the setup process for that was?
Yeah, I mean, so we're quite strong in the hospitality space with our contacts. So we've got a great academy of restaurant voters that's been growing year on year since 2002. Likewise with bars since 2009. But we started talking about long before I joined 50 Best. I believe the conversations were in play for a while to bring hospitality into that threshold, and then I joined the business in 2019. And my background is a travel background. I was the editor of a travel magazine here in the UK. So I was kind of brought on to start developing those travel space, hotel space contacts. And that's what I've been doing in the now on 5 years since I've been here, meeting the academy chairs and getting that panel of voters together and start really trying to speak to people, because the voting for hotels will be quite similar to the other two awards. And the key thing to remember is we don't want to make it a tick box exercise. So it's not like the star system. It's not like the AA system we have here in the UK. It's not like Michelin. The hotel doesn't necessarily have to have a swimming pool in the same way that the bar doesn't necessarily have to have 10 seats, or a particular kind of entrance and exit. We very much want it to be at the disposal and at the choice of the voters themselves. So we just ask that they consider all aspects of their experience. That's the first contact point with reception desk or the concierge desk, all the way through to the trip to the room itself, the amenities that are on offer, then the F&B facilities on show at the hotel, all the way to that checkout point and how the guest leaves the hotel. So we just want to know their 7 best hotel experiences of the voting period, which we're launching with 2 years.
Man, that's so I was just thinking, Yolanda Edwards, who has YOLO Journal, and
she's our academy chair.
I was going to say she should be. There you go.
Yeah, she is our academy chair for North America. So yeah, glad you brought her up. She's been amazing in terms of the assistance and advice she's given to us as we've been establishing the awards themselves.
She's at the top.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. Mark, I have to ask maybe a little more personal question of you. Having to look at and sort of quantify and put criterion onto the things that we consider kind of every day, going to a restaurant, going to a bar, possibly staying in a hotel. Is your mind ever just sort of stuck in that mode? Or are you like, every time you brush your teeth, you're like, this is the 50 best toothbrush I've ever owned. Or this is the 50 best pair of shoes that I own. Are you doing that to everything in your life?
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean,
is it torturing your sleep?
I haven't been sleeping very well recently. I will admit to that with all the various launches we've had. But essentially, rather than trying to put criteria on, what I see it as my job as is to remove as many criteria as possible, particularly for the launching the hotels vote. I didn't want to start saying that the voters have to vote for 3, for example, hotels outside of their home destination, which we do with restaurants and bars. Main reason for that being, I don't think people are partisan or loyal, particularly to local hotels, in the same way that they might be bars, bartenders, chefs or restaurants. And I didn't want to have to say that you can't vote for more than 3 imprints of the same the same hotel group, which we actually decided to incorporate for this year in year 1 and see how that goes. So for me, my job is more about removing criteria and making the vote as free as possible, rather than, with your toothbrush analogy, to make sure that the head is a certain thickness, and does it accommodate enough toothpaste? So yeah, it is pretty all encompassing. I won't lie, but I love it.
You always sound pretty upbeat and excited about what you're getting to do, and why wouldn't you be? This is a great arena to be bumping around in.
Yeah, can't complain.
Yeah, you got a pretty good job.
Well, speaking of which, speaking of traveling and moving around from place to place, the world's 50 best has moved to a spot it's never been before. For the first time this year in October, it's going to be in Asia, in Singapore. So I imagine that you're no stranger to logistics and setting things up, but it seems truly ambitious to do it on a continent you've never done it before, and then to not only just to be an awards ceremony, but it seems like there's also going to be almost kind of a sort of seminar festival environment going on there as well. So talk to me a little bit about what you all are cooking up and how that all came to be.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I'm not hugely involved in the actual logistics and operations. We've got a bespoke team of ridiculously talented individuals who do our ops. They plan all the events and they book the venues. They arrange the glassware. They bring in the ice. They're a dream to work with, and they're the real stars of the whole 50 best operation, to be honest. But yeah, in Singapore, it's a real branching out for us. So we moved the event, the World 50 Best Bars event, outside of London for the first time in Barcelona last year. And exactly what you say, Greg, we didn't quite realize how much the world's bar community would come to town. So we put on 3 core events: our bartenders feast the night before the awards themselves, and then a recovery brunch, which we've subsequently renamed for this year because we wouldn't like to suggest that there had been irresponsible drinking the night before. We're calling that the closing party this year. But yeah, and there were 89 different events in Barcelona over the course of those 3 days, and that was everything from guest shift, brands throwing parties. The Mexican bars all got together and hired a disused warehouse, built a Nacho Libre wrestling ring, and basically had bartenders wrestling each other until the early hours, and that was purely bonkers. And that was the night before the event itself. There were bartenders turning up with bandages on, with slings, bruises all over their faces. Hilarious. So yeah, we didn't quite anticipate what that was going to do for the ecosystem of the city itself, which is obviously great for those local bars. So yeah, when we go to Singapore, fortunately, we've held Asia's 50 best bars in Singapore before. We did it there in 2018, 2019. So we're quite familiar with the infrastructure there and how everything runs, and we know it's super efficient and the venues are great. So it's kind of an easy choice for us to take it out to Singapore this year. October 17 is the awards themselves. But we'll look, like you say, when we're going to a new destination, there's always things that we're learning and that we don't anticipate might be a problem. Like I say, we're hosting North America's 50 Best Bars in San Miguel de Allende next week, and the ops team I was just talking about, we didn't realize that there would be nobody producing specialty ice in the entire city. So we're essentially getting the ice produced in Mexico City and trying to get it up, which is 3.5 hours by road, all of the specialty ice for a 1,200 person event at the actual party itself. And not to mention that I think the combined number of Nick and Nora glasses across the whole city was 45. So we've essentially we're going to buy a load of glassware to get the event to run successfully, and then we'll donate that to the local bars in the area. So yeah, those little operational aspects, which we don't think about when we say, yeah, San Miguel de Allende looks like an amazing city. Yeah, it does come with plenty of complications.
Yeah. In that talk there, you mentioned something that reminded me. I wanted to talk about it a little bit earlier, but we can circle back. You've now broken 50 Best into 3 distinct chunks, right? There's 50 Best World, 50 Best Asia, 50 Best North America. So what spurred that decision? I mean, I remember when 50 Best Asia came onto the scene, it was because, well, Asia's just huge, I guess.
Yeah, well, exactly that. So yeah, 2009 we launched the world event. 2016 Asia came into the fore, and yeah, 2022 last year we did North America. And essentially that kind of comes down to our principle with the 50 Best brand as a whole is to sort of shine a light on greater breadth of the cocktail industry. And when we can actually train that spotlight and focus in on a continent like Asia or North America, it allows us to recognize a greater number of bars. Obviously, there can only be 50 in the world. But then when we bring it to Asia, it means that lots of countries which haven't featured before on the world program are able to get a foot in on their local continents program. Similarly, in North America, last year, we got lots of bars from states and destinations which have never made the world list. We had bars from sort of Colorado, Arizona, and smaller cities and towns where they would be unlikely to make it to the world list because that vote is so wide and relatively few people visit those destinations on a global scale when compared to the global cocktail metropolises of New York, London, Barcelona, Paris, Singapore.
Right.
Makes sense.
It really does. And I'm kind of glad you broke it down that way. Are you still doing, there was always the 50 best and then the 51 to 100, I think it was called To Watch or Up and Coming or whatever. Are you still doing that as well?
Yeah, so for the world event, we launched that sort of 5-6 years ago, which again lets us spread that spotlight onto double the number of destinations. In Asia, we unveiled that for the first time last year. And in North America, what we usually say is we really look to focus on that top 50 for the first 3 years of an awards program, and then we'll look to extend it to the 51 to 100 once people have become familiar with our brand as the 50 best, because the 50 best celebrating 100 bars, it's like it's a bit weird, right?
Well, I've even said on the show numerous times the couple of years that we were on the 51, I would drop it on my guests. I would be like, yeah, we're number 77 on the 50 best bars list, and I'd just walk away, and they'd be like, congratulations.
What?
That doesn't. But I usually it was great bar banter for me.
Yeah, we do appreciate it. It's a bit of an anomaly with the brand. But yes, so we give it 3 years of trying to sort of establish ourselves in a destination before we bring 50.
We bring that back.
Sother, what are your 50 best bars? I mean, not your personal list of bars you've been to.
Of my 50 bars?
Your own bars, your 50 bars that you own. What are your favorite? Rank them, please, now.
We're getting there. Number one is Grand Army. Yeah, it's adorable. Listen, man, this has been fascinating and really enlightening, Mark, to have you on. And I also a little bit jealousy inducing, man. I feel like you've got a really cool job, and I would love to have it. I'd love to have it or be a part of it. But yeah, is there anything else that maybe we missed that you want to plug or talk about before we sort of wrap up the show?
No, you've been very kind, giving me so much airtime, guys. Really, really appreciate it. But yeah, if any of your listeners would like to find out the world of 50 best bars in North America, we'll be streaming it live, the whole countdown on our YouTube channel at 50 Best Bars TV from 8:30 on May 4th. So Star Wars Day to everyone out there. It's going to be a big party. And yeah, we've got lots of surprises in store on the evening itself. So we're really quite looking forward to it. And yeah, please do tune in. It's going to be fun. Check out our Instagram, and you'll be linked right through to that live stream.
Sure. The Instagram is just 50 Best Bars, 50 the number 50 Best Bars, correct?
Yes, spot on.
And then if anyone wants to get in touch with you on Instagram, you're at your name Mark Sansom1, right?
That's me, but my Instagram's terribly dull. Definitely go to 50 Best Bars.
I bet you have some pretty cool shit on your Instagram.
If you like cats.
Yes.
I mean, well, the internet likes cats, that's for sure. So, that's a popular topic all the time. Man, this has been really great and really informative. I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk to us.
Thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I really appreciate you. This has been a really great time having you back on the show, I would like to say. And then next time you're back, we can talk about the 50 best Airbnbs.
God.
That's next year.
Oh,
I would like to know. I mean, there's some good ones out there. But yeah, thanks a lot, guys. It's been an awesome show. It's been an awesome year so far. And thanks for holding things down while I've been going through marriage planning and all that stuff.
Going through a major life event.
Yeah, man.
You got to hold it down for 3 more weeks while I go on vacation.
Hey, envious of that. And once again, Damon, congratulations. Really, really excited for you to embark on this new part of your life, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Well, that's it for the Speakeasy this week. Check out Heritage Radio Network for many other programs like this one. And until next week, cheers, everyone.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
So you don't charm the devil with your rock.
The Speakeasy is powered by Simplecast. Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food and drink radio supported by you. Keep in touch at heritageradionetwork.org/subscribe.